how do you establish negligence on the part of the manufacturer in a product liability case?
Number one, don't destroy, don't get rid of whatever it was, and don't fiddle with it. So we can get an expert over to lay eyes on it. Remember how I told you about the internal review process that you're starting to
Hmm.
see pop up on online marketplaces? I represent someone right now who went through that process, and the retailer, the online retailer, sent an expert out who not only looked at but took the product with them. So the person completely lost access to and possession of the product at issue. And now I'm having to negotiate with the online retailer for access for my experts to now look at the object to confirm the online retailer didn't destroy or alter the object we're talking about. So the way you figure it out is, number one, get possession of that object. And the
Hmm.
online retailer, they might get you to engage with them in supposed settlement negotiations just for the purpose of getting their hands on the object so they themselves can, you know, get to the process of figuring out what went wrong here and how can we claim it wasn't our fault. So having experts look at whatever object we're talking about. Same thing with cars. If a car crashes, you got to have an expert look over it to figure out, well, was it some component of the car that caused the crash here?
Hmm. What steps should consumers take if they suspect they've been harmed by a defective product?
Keep the product. Don't fiddle with the product. If it involves your car, then you need to know where your car is, and it's probably sitting in a tow yard that might be charging storage fees. You got to call quickly so we can get out there before the tow yard itself starts fiddling with the car, doing things to the car, so we can look and see what happened here. Why didn't the seat belt pull you back into position or hold you in place? Why didn't the airbag fire? Why did the steering all of a sudden feel soft or wonky? How come the brake went soft on you when you were pressing on it? Was there a manufacturing defect here? We got to get to the car or the product quickly before anybody else has tried to figure it out themselves or fiddled with it or what we call adulterated it, uh,
Hmm.
changed it in some way,
Hmm.
partly taking it apart. You know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess what a lot of people are probably wondering is how you calculate damages in a product liability case, especially when injuries that result from it are long term and permanent.
It's the same as in a automobile wreck case or a commercial trucking wreck case. You look at how much the past medical charges were, how much are the anticipated future medical charges. You look at things like loss of earning capacity in some states. In other states, it's actual loss of earnings in the future, loss of wages in the past because you've been unable to work as you're on the road to recovery. You look at what would be an appropriate pain and suffering number here, given what people have been through and what it's anticipated they're going to have to go through in the future. Um, Sometimes there's also a loss of household services. So if you're no longer able to keep up your yard and you have to hire somebody to do that, that becomes a damages component. So that's a quick, broad overview of some of the different things you look at and figuring out what is the damages and the harm that was done here that you're asking an online retailer or a manufacturer of a product that's hurt you to compensate you for, make up for what you've been through.